The world of professional football is often defined by a razor-thin margin between absolute glory and a total catastrophic collapse. What we are witnessing right now in Indianapolis isn't just a slump. It is a full-blown tragedy that has sent shockwaves through the entire NFL landscape. Just a few short months ago, in the heat of September and October, the Indianapolis Colts were the talk of the town. Pundits, analysts, and fans alike were already booking hotel rooms for the Super Bowl. The Colts weren't just winning, they were dicing up elite defenses, fighting for every single blade of grass, and looking like a juggernaut that no one could stop. They were 8-2, 8 wins and only 2 losses. The momentum was undeniable. But then, the bye week hit, and everything changed. This is the story of how a miracle turned into a crisis that may have just ended an era. The downward spiral began with a decision that many now view as a fatal mistake. The Colts announced that their leader, quarterback Daniel Jones, would play through a fractured fibula. It was a bomb that dropped on the fan base. How could a player compete with a broken bone in his leg? This injury was the dark omen that foreshadowed a mountain of problems for Indianapolis. The team, desperate to maintain their standing in the AFC, pushed forward, but the physical toll on Daniel Jones was obvious. The mobility that made him a dual-threat nightmare was gone. He was a sitting duck in the pocket, and the league's most aggressive pass rushers smelt blood in the water. The first crack in the armor appeared when the Colts faced the Kansas City Chiefs. It was a brutal, physical battle that went into overtime, but in the end, the Colts fell. That single defeat quickly snowballed into a brutal losing streak that stripped the team of its confidence. The locker room was tense, and the pressure on head coach Shane Steichen was reaching a breaking point. Then the real tragedy struck. A few weeks after their third loss of the season, the worst-case scenario became a reality. Daniel Jones, already hobbled by his fractured fibula, suffered a torn Achilles in his other leg. It was a sickening moment for anyone watching. The star quarterback was down, his season was over, and the Colts were thrust into a sticky situation that felt like a nightmare. They had 2 choices. They could either trust Riley Leonard, an inexperienced rookie who wasn't ready for the bright lights, or they could turn to the open market in a desperate attempt to save their playoff hopes. Shane Steichen chose a path that shocked the entire sporting world. He picked up the phone and called his old friend, Philip Rivers. Yes, you heard that right. Philip Rivers, a man who hadn't touched an NFL field during a live game since January 2021, was being asked to lead a team in the middle of a playoff race. It was a move born out of desperation. Rivers, ever the competitor, accepted the offer from Shane Steichen, but the fairy tale ending never arrived. Since Rivers took over under center, the Colts have been in a free fall, losing all 3 games with the veteran quarterback at the helm. The rust was too thick, the timing was off, and the magic was simply gone. The most recent defeat was perhaps the most painful of them all. Facing the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Colts actually looked like they had regained some control, jumping out to a 10-0 lead. But the wheels didn't just come off, they exploded. The Colts blew that lead, falling to their divisional rivals in a game that officially eliminated them from playoff contention. After the final whistle, the silence in the locker room was deafening. Star running back Jonathan Taylor, who has been the soul of this team, had to face the music. When ESPN reporter Stephen Holder asked Taylor if the Colts were just a good team that ran out of juice or a team that simply wasn't good enough, Taylor didn't hold back. His honesty was a bomb. He admitted that when you lose 5 or 6 games in a row, you have to look in the mirror and realize you are not a good team. Good teams find a way to win those 1 or 2 critical plays that decide a game. The Colts instead found every possible way to lose them. It's a heartbreaking reality for a team that started the year with so much promise. 2025 now marks the 5th consecutive season in which the Indianapolis Colts have missed the playoffs. This is a franchise in a state of emergency. For the first half of the year, they rode the incredible momentum of Jonathan Taylor, who was playing at an MVP level. His statistics are staggering: 309 carries for 1,559 yards and 18 touchdowns on the ground. He was a workhorse, a warrior who carried the weight of the city on his shoulders. But even a legendary performance from Taylor wasn't enough to overcome the instability at the quarterback position and the tactical failures on the sidelines. At the end of the day, whether you blame the catastrophic injuries to Daniel Jones or a fundamental lack of skill in the depth chart, the result remains the same. The Colts will be watching the postseason from their couches in January yet again. They now hold the 4th longest playoff drought in the entire league, a statistic that is an indictment of the current regime. The 2026 season isn't just another year, it is a final stand. The pressure on general manager Chris Ballard has reached a fever pitch. Failed years are accumulating, and the patience of the fan base is gone. Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard are now facing an offseason of absolute scrutiny. How do you rebuild from a collapse this significant? How do you move forward when your franchise quarterback's future is shrouded in medical uncertainty? The questions are endless, and the answers are nowhere to be found. The miracle of 8-2 has been buried under a mountain of losses, leaving the city of Indianapolis in a state of shock. The road back to relevance will be long, painful, and filled with difficult decisions that will determine the fate of this franchise for the next decade. This is more than just a bad season. It is a wake-up call that the Indianapolis Colts are a team in deep trouble.